It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. It is a Monday morning, and if that's the case, it is time for Colatown, our city, our stories. Welcome on in. So glad to have you with us on this June the 15th. I can't believe we're already halfway through June, but here we are. Welcome, 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 and thank you for being with us on Colatown. I want to welcome in our first guest of the morning and say hello to our Councilman Will Brennan, who's here with us. And Councilman, it's a pleasure to have you here at the point, and thanks for being part of Colatown. Welcome in.
Absolutely, Kevin. Thanks for having me, and I hope everybody is staying cool out there. We had a little hot spell here in Soda City, so I hope everybody's staying cool and well out there.
Well, I know it was the old phrase was famously hot.
Yes.
Yeah, it was famously hot last week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We
lived up to the reputation, but and we're not done. But you know what? I always tell people, Will, it's Columbia, South Carolina. It's the summer. You know, for the time we endure some hot temperatures, we get to enjoy the rest of the year.
It was fantastic spring and fall. Yep.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
When it's 6 degrees up north, and you know the pipes are freezing, we got it pretty good down here. So
hey,
it's
that's why we're growing here in the Midlands and the state as well. The word's getting out.
It is. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Will Brennan first before we get into what I want to talk about. Let me ask you a little bit about how it's been serving Columbia, how long you've been on council, and this and that. I always just want to make sure we put a name and a face together with a little personality. So let's talk about you for a bit.
Great. Thanks so much again for having me. Will Brennan, represents City Council District 3. That is the Garners Ferry area moving downtown towards the VA, Rosewood, Shandon, areas around the university, and then ending up at the river between the Gervais and Blossom Street Bridge. So a great district. Grew up in the district. I grew up in Shandon, A.C. Moore Hand-Dreer grad, 1998. So flew off to college in Raleigh, North Carolina, to NC State, a Wolfpacker. And Columbia and Raleigh were really kind of the same size city back in the early 2000s when I was there. Had the same feel, and then moved back to Columbia and started working and got involved with nonprofits and really wanted to give back and see our city really thrive. Not become a huge city, but
grow and
grow the quality of life and the life that we want to live.
Well, and it's interesting because I talked to your friend and my friend the mayor, who's by the way celebrating a birthday today.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Mayor Reckenman. And he points to Raleigh as one of those cities that we need to be doing a little bit more about what they're doing in that triangle.
Yeah, here we are. The Hurricanes just won the
they did.
Play of the Stanley Cup last night. They came to Raleigh when I was in college,
right.
And just to see the impact that had on the city was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So it's trying to make impactful economic development moves here in Columbia that really help everybody.
Well, and again, I think that there's things that we can look at because we've got so many things here, Will, that are built in that are phenomenal. And I get frustrated when I hear people, and I say this on the show almost every week. When people sit here and tell me, well, there's nothing to do in Columbia, you have no idea how much there is to do in Columbia. Well, I haven't done it. And I'm like, when's the last time you did this? When's the last time you did that? And I go down a list, and people are like, and it reminds me of the people who say, well, I grew up in New York, and I've never been to the Statue of Liberty. It's like, when's the last time you went to Riverbank Zoo? When's the last time you walked along, one of our rivers? When's the last time you got out on a nature trail?
Just pay attention to our agendas at City Council, all the event resolutions that come
Exactly.
through. There's always great events, festivals going on in this great city.
For sure. So you mentioned where your district is with District 3, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on there, with the growth of Columbia. And we have, I think the number has been determined, about 28 people moving to the Midlands on a day-to-day basis. That's phenomenal growth, obviously. I like the growth. I'm not afraid of the growth because we haven't gotten to a point where you go out and I'll go to Soda City. And I still run into people I know, but I'm also meeting so many people I've never met before. And I'm seeing more and more. I'll go to a store that I usually used to run into people, and now I'll
venture to Finley Park.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, the diversity, the demographics of everybody that comes and enjoys that park.
Well, the point is we are growing. And with that growth, there's some responsibility involved that we do it the right way. But at the same time, there's some potential and some benefits from it. So how do we make that work? How do you want to see us grow as a community?
Yeah, so I've always said that you're only as good as the infrastructure you're built on. So this council and councils past have really focused on, we got to make that investment. We got to make that investment into our Columbia water system. We got to do what we can as the city for the roads that we're in charge of, and we got to work with the county. We were lucky enough that the voters believed in the penny 2.0, the transportation penny, that's going to give back so much in road infrastructure. So really being mindful moving forward in investing in infrastructure, because then, the private sector folks can come in and build off of. So that's what we're really, really focusing on. And it's budget season, and you're going to see that again with this budget that's going to get publicly posted tomorrow.
Sure. We're talking with Will Brennan, who is our city councilman from District 3. And one thing that I think probably because of the 1,000-year flood forced the city council to take much more of a closer look at water and sewer, and then you have the government and what is basically being forced on us, requiring repairs and changes and modernization. But this is the first real city council in a while, in my years here, that's understood you just can't kick the can down the road anymore. It's got to be looked at now, and even though it's an expensive process, it's something we need to deal with. And so there's people who get frustrated about it, but again, kicking the can got us into the problem in the first place.
You're absolutely right. Some of our neighborhoods, water lines haven't been changed out in 80 plus years.
Right.
And so we realize that. We're making our way through that list. It's not as the slow wheels of government, unfortunately, have to match up to the revenue streams that we can pay those bonds with. So that has been a process. We've got a lot of great water projects, drinking water projects going in District 3 and other parts of the city. We have, like you said, the EPA. We have the huge wastewater program that we're catching up on, and I cannot wait for that to go away. Those expenses,
sure, they're significant.
Yes, they are. And then our eyes were open to the whole importance of stormwater, our stormwater system in 2015. I was on Timberlane Drive down by Gills Creek in one of the beach houses.
Man,
So no, it's not the most popular thing to invest in.
It's not sexy,
but it's our job as local governments, services, and safety.
It really is. And again, anyone that's listening right now that remembers what happened in 2015 with that flood, you have to understand that if you don't learn from that experience, shame on you. Mm-hmm. Really and truly. And we dodged some bullets. It wasn't fun. It was not good as it turned out. And there was some loss of life and things like that. But what could have been, what might have been, for how long we might have been without this or might have been without that, take a look at our friends up in Western Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, and see what they went through after Helene and how long they were without, and realize.
New Orleans is a good example.
Exactly.
And here we are 11 years
yeah.
from the flood, and we're about to fix the canal.
Right. Exactly.
So, and the canal's huge when it comes to our drinking water system and everything.
Let's talk about something a little bit more happy: hospitality.
Okay.
And there are certain areas that are district that we care an awful lot about. And this is the thing: when I remembered, there was two things when I first got really in town. We had 5 Points, and we then started to get the Vista, and that was kind of it. And now we've got others. We've got, of course, Divine. We've got Main Street. And we've got different things that are turning in, and a lot of different choices for people to go. Bull Street now, with Gather and with the ballpark and all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of different things. Rosewood is part of your district as a traditional district, or part of the district that we've had some businesses that have been there forever. And so we've got a lot of choices when it comes to hospitality and different things for people to visit.
Millwood, where we're at right now, is a great example. Unfortunate District 3 has 5 Points.
Let me put you on hold for 1 sec. Do a break. We'll come on back. We've got Will Brennan with us on Colatown. Welcome back in on Colatown, Our City, Our Stories. I am really happy to have someone that gets it here with us. Will Brennan is our city councilman from District 3, and he's in the studio for the first half of the program today. And Will, again, thank you for making time for me today. I really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks again for the invite.
Absolutely. So we were talking, and I rudely interrupted you on our way into break. You were talking about some of the historic areas of town. We were focusing on Rosewood. You were bringing up Millwood also, right here where we are at the radio station.
Absolutely. A lot of great hospitality districts, merchants, small business districts in District 3. The Vista, 5 Points, Rosewood, Divine, Millwood, really all having a little renaissance investment coming their way, which is really great.
Yeah.
So you look at 5 Points. 5 Points just had a big DOT project, pedestrian and bicycle safety, bringing more people to 5 Points, making them feel safer when they're walking around, like the good old days when I used to go there in middle school, ride my bike down there.
Sure.
And you're going to see Divine Street is going to undergo that same type of eye towards safety with a big investment from DOT and our Richland County Penny. So that's exciting. And then Millwood as well. You know, there's new restaurants popping up on Millwood.
Sure.
And Rosewood as well, great restaurants. And I think that's kind of the core that brings neighborhoods together. If you have walkable communities, the vibrancy, the energy. And I think that we've done a great job of that over the last 8 years, really making that happen.
Let's move over to the Vista a little bit and kind of go toward the Riverfront District a little and talk about that while we still have a few minutes, because the Vista has had peaks and valleys, and it's due for a new peak. It's due for that, because I think it's kind of gotten, I don't want to say neglected, but I think there's been spotlights on other things over the last, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And I love the Vista. I mean, I love going down there.
It's great.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. And
it's great.
Good energy down there.
People keep pointing to, we need a convention center expansion. I agree with them.
Yeah.
How we get there, the city just worked with the county to put an overlay for all new investment that is built there. A percentage of that is going to stay in the Vista, and it's going to go towards building that new expansion. So we hope to see the expansion of our great convention center coming soon, because you don't realize how many folks go out and enjoy the restaurants, and this is 38 weekends or 38 weeks a year where this happens. It really is the lifeblood of our Vista, our small businesses, and our hotels. And the hotel demand's out of this world. We need more.
We need more hotels, full service hotels.
Exactly.
We need, not just your little guys, but the full service ones that have the ability to deliver food to rooms and things
we're going
like
to get
that.
there. There's a lot of great prospects coming through the Economic Development Committee, and I feel confident in that.
When people say, and I've heard this from a lot of folks, and I'd like for you to maybe explain it a little bit better than I can, please, Will. But I have a lot of people that are like, well, we got a convention center. So we're getting some conventions, but we're not getting the big boys because we don't have the big convention space. Fair?
That is fair, and our size lends itself to day travel.
Right.
So what you want to capture folks in the Vista, in our city, in our Midlands, to really get out there and spend some money and support the local economy, because all that the drinks, the meals, all that captures hospitality tax money, accommodations tax money if they stay at our hotels. And that is our mechanism to give back to festivals and the arts, and really to our capital improvements, to our city projects and parks. And
every one of those dollars that comes in from someone that's visiting our city is a dollar that's not coming from people that are already here.
Exactly. Very true.
Yeah,
very
so that's
true.
something to keep in mind.
Yeah. So we're hoping with the expansion, before that, we'd like to get a hotel right there next to the convention center, partner up with a private investor to come build it, and give the room blocks, the 300 rooms that our management at the convention center can go out and market and sell, because they're not just selling the convention center, they're selling the city, they're selling the county, and they're selling the Midlands. So
is that something where you go to a lot of the national hotel chains, or is that where you go and because I know that there's a lot of interest that people have come to Columbia.
At this point, Kevin, I think the word's out.
Yeah.
The city and in Richland County.
And there's land available.
Oh, absolutely. There's land available.
And
I think the numbers are starting to work in developers' eyes here. So I think our economic development pursuits are a lot easier now. People are coming to us. And I think that we're fortunate. We should feel lucky, because a lot of that has to just do with the growth of the state. Greenville's kind of tapped out. Charleston's tapped out. And here we are, Columbia, open arms, welcoming everybody.
Come on in. Yeah. How hard is it to balance with the university and not letting the university, because obviously we want a great relationship with USC, but we don't want them to be the behemoth that doesn't allow the city to grow, because they don't add much to the tax base, obviously.
They don't, but if you think 60,000 students, disposable income, they're growing 150 freshmen a year, what it does for our economy there, you can't deny that. So I think we have a great relationship with the university about creeping into our neighborhoods. We really want to keep our surrounding neighborhoods open and friendly for single family homes, young families that want to come in and really live downtown. So that dialogue is definitely going on. We have a town and gown committee that meets, I think, quarterly, if not monthly, with the universities, and really discusses these items on how to be good neighbors. Mm-hmm.
Let me move it over to the Riverfront District, because connectivity is so huge, and we see tremendous growth across the river with what's going on with the KC West Columbia area, and good for them. That's awesome. I think it adds to the obviously overall of our community and of our Midlands as a whole. But we've got this Riverfront District that we're finally realizing what can be done with it, and the potential is just monumentous.
It is. It's great, and now's the time for it.
Yeah.
We've spent years talking about it. We've worked with the Ginyard Trust. The biggest thing the city and county needed to do was go out and put a maintenance agreement in place for a future park.
Mm-hmm.
Now that has been done, I think that the final signature might be next week by the county to agree to that, because we're going to put another overlay on the new riverfront district. So all the new growth that's going to come between Gervais Street Bridge, Blossom Street Bridge, and the surrounding area, we're going to capture some of that property tax to pay for a new world-class park when it comes. So chip away at that. That was the first thing that had to be done. And, man, it took a while, but we are so grateful for our colleagues at the county for believing in this path and this vision with us here at the city. So you're jumping from the Vista into, what could be another great hospitality and residential district right on the river.
Now, people need to realize, there's certain things you can do and can't do. And on our side of the river, there's some things you can't do when it comes to, like, putting restaurants all along and this and that along the water and that kind of stuff. It's just not conducive to that.
Yes, we are not going to be like a Savannah riverfront deep water or a Charleston Peninsula deep water. We have to work with what God gave us here with our rivers.
Right.
And so the floodplain, floodway kind of tells us how much we can build. Now, we can build recreational offerings in floodplain. You can't build condos, hotels, and restaurants.
Sure.
You got to build those on the higher ground. So just imagine up closer to Huger Street, the area where kind of Todd Moore and everything that's popping up there. That's all private property, and all those private investors are going to come in and see this wonderful amenity right on the river and say, hey, we need to connect with this and build something great and go vertical.
It's going to be a fun, and that's one thing I'd like to see more of, and that people have been resistant to, but I want to see more verticality because that's the obvious thing.
I agree with you,
There's just nowhere else to go, and we can't be afraid of going vertical. I think there's been a fear of that over the years, and I think finally we're starting to overcome that a little bit, Will. I got to ask this. When we talk about connectivity, I was just mentioning West Columbia, and I was mentioning getting from one to the other. There's that Gervais Street Bridge, which is beautiful and historic and wonderful, and scares me every time I drive over.
I think it scares everybody, Kevin. From we're coming up on 100 years. Its construction started in 2026 on the Gervais Street Bridge, and it finished in 1926. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And opened up for cars in 1928. It was the only bridge until 1953 to connect the banks of the Congaree there, which is pretty crazy.
Right,
so,
and it was more than adequate 100 years ago.
It was. So then I guess that's kind of my point that we need to discuss is it was great for the previous 100 years. Now let's look ahead for the next 100 years, because right now you got a big world-class park that's being planned, connectivity from our friends over in West Columbia and Casey, all the great things they're doing with their Riverwalk and their small businesses in their hospitality districts. Gervais Street Bridge is going to be the natural point for folks to want to cross to get over. And unfortunately, we just had a horrific accident where a gentleman lost his life being thrown off the Gervais Street Bridge. And so now's the time for discussions to start. How do we save the historic character of the bridge?
Sure.
And then how do we add a safety pedestrian bicycle kind of option to it? So I think there's a blend of a modern design that could go along with the historic design of the bridge. There's case studies out there. Albemarle, North Carolina, added on to a big, beautiful historic bridge using modular construction. But I think now's the time to start having these discussions, and I know there's some state leaders that are on board with having that discussion.
Yeah, and fortunately, there's room to expand or grow or find ways, because you have nothing to the immediate side, and it's not something that you would destroy nature. It's not something where you would destroy existing. It's not something where you would infringe on somebody else's immediate space either. But again, safety is a legitimate reason to do anything. And then you just have to acknowledge what you just said, which is the sheer numbers. It's almost 100 years since that thing. You were telling me during the break about the former unwritten rule.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been here long enough to know
you don't pass on the Gervais Street Bridge.
Yeah,
those days are over.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
Oh my goodness!
And to the point, like we said, cars are getting bigger, wider, and louder and faster.
Yeah, and when you got that big Yukon coming up next to you, and you're in one lane, and you're like, oh my gosh,
a side mirror can do some damage.
That's what I mean. You just don't realize how close you get, and that's why there was that unwritten rule.
Oh, yeah. I used to drive the Shannon Presbyterian bus out to Presbyterian home to pick up the folks. And
Oh my
Crossing
goodness.
that thing, you were two knuckles. You were tied in.
Well, we only have another minute here before I let you get out of here, but I think it's important. So in terms of like announcements, you said there's some things on the horizon that are going to be signed and changed between water, sewer, between the county, the parks, all that stuff. This is going to be an exciting summer.
There's a lot happening in local government. I'd encourage everybody to pay attention. Go to the Columbia City website. Follow us on all the socials. Kevin, if you could give those out, we're really putting out some great information. We want our residents and our constituents and our customers to be in the know and be able to let us know. Absolutely.
Well, it's a great time, obviously, here for our city, and the growth is exciting to see what's happening around us. I think the fun and most, I don't want to say it's overused because I really think it's appropriate, is connectivity. There's so much more of that coming to the city.
It is. It's exciting. It's a great time to be here in Columbia and in the Midlands.
I'm really glad you came in. If people want to get a hold of you, if they need to get a hold of you in District 3, how do people find you?
Email is the best way to get me, will.brennan@columbiasc.gov. Again, that's will.brennan@columbiasc.gov, and would be happy to talk to you.
I'm really glad you came in. I thank you for making time for us. Always welcome here at the Point, and thanks for what you're doing, giving back to the city.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Will Brennan joining us here on the first half for Colatown. We're going to do a break for bottom of the hour headlines. When we come back, we'll talk with our friends at One Columbia. Xavier Blake, the executive director, going to join us. We're excited about that. Thanks to Will. We'll come back. You're listening to Colatown on the Point.